Hi, everyone.
And tonight we are doing Something in the Dirt. It is a 2022 movie on Hulu. It is a sci-fi film by directing, writing duo Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who is one of my favorite newer directing duos. This is their, I think, 5th full-length feature movie. They've also done Synchronic's, probably their most known movie because it's got Anthony Mackie in it, and that was actually in theaters. And then a lot of their other movies are smaller little indie guys like The Endless and Spring. But this is their 5th feature. Made it during COVID, all in one location, very low budget.
What's the 5th
It's got
one?
a 91%. What's that?
What's the 5th movie?
Their feature debut was a movie called Resolution, which I have not seen, but apparently it's very, very, very low budget.
Okay.
But they're all like this. All their stuff is sci-fi, and they even their bigger budget stuff is pretty low. Like they stick to the heady themes, and they're not a big budget duo. Although they have recently been tapped from the big studios. They've directed some Moon Knight episodes. They directed some episodes of Archive 81 on Netflix. They're going to be directing some Loki episodes. So they've been discovered. They've been recognized by the big leagues, but they like to make their little movies as well. This has got a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 47% audience score, so a wide discrepancy there. 76% Metacritic, 5.9 IMDb, so really all over the place with these numbers. Did you guys know anything going in? I'm assuming not, because it's such a small little movie, and it's probably just one that you had to watch because I said so.
Right.
Confirmed. Accurate.
When neighbors John and Levi witness shocking supernatural events in their Los Angeles apartment building, they realize documenting the paranormal activity could inject some much-needed fame and fortune into their humdrum lives. As I said, on Hulu, if you have any interest, because we are going to spoil it here now. So the two characters, Levi and John, we meet them early on through just some conversations. They live in LA in this not great little apartment complex, lots of noise to fly over from planes and helicopters. You can see the mountains on fire in the distance. It's just really lovely modern California. And the John that we learn through some time is a sometimes math teacher, but really his devotion is to his evangelical apocalyptic church. And the other guy, who's kind of more of our main guy, he's our guy we're introduced to, Levi. He's like a spear fisherman, but he kind of just works a bunch of odd jobs. And you learn things about these two guys, about their lives. And the thing that's kind of going on in the background is that there's this weird phenomenon that happens in the apartment that fucks with gravity and lights and time and all kinds
Ashtrays.
of ashtrays, quartz ashtrays, definitely a lot of floating. So some strange sci-fi phenomenons are happening, all kinds of different ones. And they get the idea, hey, why don't we, two guys that don't know each other before this inciting incident, really, they are like, hey, why don't we document this? We got really not a lot going on in our lives. We're going to make a little documentary film and try to sell it. And so the movie is them trying to make this movie while discussing what the movie's going to be about and trying to figure out what the thing's going on. And all the while, you're finding out that these two guys, they got some problems in their own pasts. And they're not the best types of people. They butt heads as the movie goes on, and we got to see if they're going to work out the differences, and if this phenomenon is, is kind of dangerous. Shit starts getting bad, so we got to watch what's going to happen.
But they're protected, so that's okay.
Mama K, what did you think of Something in the Dirt?
Something in the Dirt. I have to tell you, I'm going to be completely honest and tell you this movie was inspirational.
Can't wait to hear why.
Because
oh no, I don't like this. This seems like a rope-a-dope.
This is a setup for sure. Inspirational in that the next time I wake up in the middle of the night from one of my freaky ass dreams that make no sense whatsoever, where I'm abandoned in a bathroom somewhere with people that I know but don't know, and they're also dreaming the same dream, and I write this shit down, I'm going to make a movie about it because that's what this is. It's like a fever dream that anyone can make. I also starred in this movie in an art film when I was in school.
Oh. So
Period.
Nicole, what are your opening thoughts?
No comment on that.
I'm gonna wait. I guess I want to hear what maybe Nicole agrees with maybe Nicole disagrees with your take.
Okay, well, don't hold your breath, because...
Sorry I stole your thunder.
Well, no, don't hold your breath.
Sure that was what you were gonna say.
Because, well, I
91% Rotten Tomatoes.
I know. So I have to laugh because your opening statements here, you said we're gonna spoil it now. And I don't think anything that I could possibly say about this movie could ever spoil what actually happened, because I haven't the faintest idea what the fuck actually happened. So I could be making up a totally different movie.
Do the intro.
What?
I should have asked you. I should have said, Nicole, what's this movie about? You explain the plot.
I couldn't.
And you could have said anything, honestly.
Right. This is one
been correct.
Of the most confusing movies I've ever seen in my life. Really, really, really bad. Yeah, I don't know.
Also, don't forget that this is supposed to be a bit of a comedy.
This is actually their funniest movie, yeah, by far.
What? Wow.
Their other movies are much more horror, sci-fi. They have some moments of levity, but yeah, this is their. I think this is their version of a buddy comedy. I think that's what this.
I'm really shocked that it has a
91%
on Rotten Tomatoes, honestly. But that just goes to show you that it's just the film people that eat this fucking self-indulgent shit up, and now all the rest of us have to suffer.
We have no business reviewing films.
Yeah, it's so true.
Well, speaking of eating this up,
uh-oh. Yeah, go ahead.
So I will say, I will preface this with this. I did like this movie. But it is the least accessible of the 4 of their 5 movies that I've seen, and none of their movies are particularly accessible. This is homework for someone who doesn't want homework. Like this is work. This is we just did Murder Mystery 2. And this is the exact opposite end of filmmaking. It's about as far away as they're almost entire polar opposites. And I would watch a million of these before I ever watched another Murder Mystery too. I love their first 2 or not the first 2, I guess second and third movies, Spring and The Endless, a ton. Spring makes me cry, and Endless has I think the scariest scene I've ever seen in a movie ever. Just like on a cosmic thinking about what the scene is level. It's terrifying and it rocks me to the core. And then Synchronic came out, and I think, Nicole, you and I did that one. You probably don't hardly remember it, but that's where they take a drug, and the drug is like a time travel drug. So you take the drug and you literally go back in time when you take it, and it fucks you up and does stuff that goes on. I remember him
sitting in a living room.
Yeah. And so that, and like that, familiar. I would consider that's like their biggest, that's like their most accessible, like straightforward kind of movie, and even that's a little bit heady for the average audience, whereas this is more heady and difficult to understand and follow than Spring. I will admit it took me a while to understand what we were doing, like because I'm in
Mama K, my mom was over watching this with us.
Oh yes, Donna.
She left my house.
Yeah, she at the beginning.
She left.
She's like, door slam. Bye.
Okay. Give context of what kind of stuff your mother likes. She watched a lot of stuff. I will give her credit. And she likes actually good opinions. I like and she likes sci-fi. But her sci-fi is more Sci-Fi Channel originals as opposed to
she likes vampire
CW
type of stuff. So
she's more
out of her element here.
When I said a sci-fi, she's probably like, "Oh, I would watch a sci-fi movie," and then she was literally like, "Oh, I'll go after the movie," and we got about 45 minutes in, and she's like, "All right, well, I guess it's time to."
Oh, Queen Donna for the win!
And that's after she had fallen asleep. She fell asleep about 20 minutes in, and then she woke back up and like, "I don't know what's happening," and Nicole's like, "Oh, fucking, I don't know what's happening."
It wouldn't have mattered if she stayed up.
I know.
No, it's a detail-oriented movie, too. So, okay, on the actual movie, what's going on, like, the way it's made is, it's low budget, so it looks kind of grainy, and it's, like, shaky cam, and, like, you know, it's filmed in literally, Justin Benson's apartment, it's the lowest of budgets that you can
on
get,
an
basically.
iPhone 6, something that still has a home button.
Okay, fine. Yeah, on an outdated iPhone is what this film. And so it took me a while to understand what was really going on. While they're making the documentary, they're doing like talking heads kind of in pose at parts. And while the movie's going, some parts are like crisper than others. Some parts are like they actually look like a movie. Like, yeah, it's low budget, but it does look like the shots are framed intentionally, and it's, you know, it is movie. It's not like a piece of shit like that. No one's
but
like,
when those things were happening, it felt like it wasn't even part of the same movie.
Yes, because about halfway in, I realized they're showing their version of the documentary, the finished version of the documentary, and the actual story. Right. All at the same time, and they're not telling you... I
figured that out too, and I was like, this is too much for one movie that's not good.
That's why I'd say this is not accessible. Like, this is like, I want to play the same movie I want to play 3 versions of the same movie at the same time. Like, that's basically what you're doing here. And they're all... And the concept of the movie is not easy to understand. Like, it's 2 guys trying to figure out a paranormal thing, but, like... They're showing all these like Fibonacci sequence kind of things, and every time they're talking, they're waxing philosophical about something, and they're intercutting it with, you know, lots of like, they do a lot of quick cuts to other things like brains and human evolution and the solar system, and they're cutting all around to all kinds of different visuals, and so it's hard. It is
that you can find free on the Google.
Right, it's like Nope when they did that. They had that photographer, and he was watching some really low-budget video of a tiger eating a zebra or something.
Oh, yeah, he was watching like a nature thing and editing it, like re-editing it for his purposes. Well, I mean, that's a man who enjoys cinema.
There were also the people who were commenting. That was the other part of the third movie, I guess, that the people that were commenting on what was going on with this,
right? Like that's what I'm saying. There's like the flubby documentary part. There's like almost like the more professional documentary part. That's with the talking heads, and like they try to do like recreations in the movie, and like they show the recreation from the point of view of the finished documentary, but also they're bumbling. Like the guy's always dropping the camera on the ground, and like they're messing shots up, they're messing takes up. And then also there are scenes where it is shot like a straightforward narrative movie, and like it's not the documentary at all. So you're getting all of this all at once, and they do not tell you that that's what's going on. And I did not know that's how this movie was made going in. And that's not how their other movies are made. Their other movies follow one narrative. You know, they don't tell the same story 3 times all at the same time. They're kind of insane for doing that, honestly. But I like the bold choice because I like the 2 characters we're with. I like their banter. I like finding out they're both kind of pieces of shit for different reasons. The one's kind of more like he's had a string of bad things and he's made a bunch of bad decisions, the surfer, spearfisher guy. Whereas the other guy you slowly learn is the pathological lying asshole. And so... Annoying.
They both seem kind of terrible and annoying.
I imagine if you're watching this movie and enjoying it, that they're not enjoyable to watch. So I could see that point of view.
I didn't find the characters actually that hard to watch, and I didn't really hate on them as much as I just hated on what they were doing in this movie. And when I found out, I watched it in 2 pieces with watching Murder Mystery in the middle. So, I mean, go ahead.
Oh my God!
Props here.
Are you out of your mind?
I'm telling you, I'm going to make my own movie now. I'm making my own movie, combining all that stuff that happened in that like 18-hour period.
You could have just documented yourself watching those 2 and trying to like reconcile that.
This is what I should have done, and then I'd be like, I am this person now. Let me write for Loki. So I forgot where I was going with that.
Hey, come on!
I watched it. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. That I didn't like that. I just didn't like the characters didn't bother me at all. But I found out somewhere in the middle that the 2 characters are the guys who made the film, and then I started really disliking it because I'm like, Oh my god, I want to sit here and watch you guys masturbate on yourselves.
Right,
So you said it became vanity project to you, and like
Absolutely.
now it's like,
and I hate that.
But they're not doing
like
it to be. They're not doing it to be famous. They're doing it because they had nothing to do during the pandemic, and they wanted to make a movie because they love making movies. They're not doing it to be famous. Like in their biggest budget movie, they didn't cast themselves. They got Anthony Mackie, and they got a couple other moderately known actors because that's what sells in Hollywood. And,
yeah, but they still released it as a movie. You're still doing it.
Yeah, because they wanted to make something, and all they had was each other and a couple cameras. They couldn't go anywhere, so they were just like, I want to make something. They filmed this over a year during COVID. They literally just filmed it in Justin Benson's apartment, and they just wanted to make something. They didn't want to
wait a minute. Hold on. You're telling me that those people actually lived in that apartment?
That was an uninhabitable apartment.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they probably made it look worse than it actually is. I mean, I imagine these guys are worth a couple mil at this point now that they've gotten paychecks from Netflix and Disney. But yeah, I mean, this is probably maybe his hold up for writing. I don't know. I mean,
also,
LA's
the premise
expensive.
is that the apartment upstairs hasn't been occupied for 10 years, and it's in Laurel Canyon. That's the biggest thing that I had trouble believing. Not that
that was the least believable part.
That was the least believable thing for me. Is like, it's in Laurel Canyon. It's been vacant for 10 years. It doesn't matter. People could have died there yesterday, and there'd be a line of people wanting to move in. So.
And so when I started like really getting in when I realized the movie, like it didn't. Whereas there are other movies, like the sci-fi bits matter a little bit more, like they're a little bit more the point and discovering the mystery, and like that's true in like The Endless and Synchronic. Not so much Spring. Spring is more of a monster movie, but you fall in love with the monster and whatever. But this is much more about the two guys, and I said at the beginning, it's their funniest movie because they actually have like some like jokes, like they are intentionally writing like quips, and the guy shows up in the hazmat suit that he taped together on the saran wrap, and like they are going for more humor than I've ever seen them do. They're usually pretty straightforward with their stuff, or pretty dry with their stuff.
Yeah, that wasn't funny at all.
You didn't laugh at all in this. I laughed. I was gonna point out I laughed more in this than in Murder Mystery.
No.
I laughed like 3 or 4 times audibly, and then a couple of little like a couple of those here and there, because it's not like a laugh out loud funny movie, but like I laughed. I was more amused by the humor in this movie than the, in quotations, humor in Murder Mystery 2.
Nicole, did you laugh at this movie?
Just laughed at myself, really.
I heard you chuckle every once in a while at a couple of their lines. I heard you. I heard it.
How?
You did.
When?
A couple of times you went, when they would say something funny.
That's...
I don't remember them saying anything funny. Both of them were. First of all, I enjoyed the surfer dude character more than the other character.
That makes sense.
And maybe he had the propensity to be funny. There was one time that I laughed when he was saying, it's toward the beginning of the movie when they're just getting to know each other, and somebody comes and picks him up for his job.
Oh yeah,
he has, and he realizes
he's like social worker or whatever.
Yeah, that's a social worker. And then the thing that he said was, I think it was a throwaway line, but maybe it wasn't a throwaway. But it was sort of like, yeah, I don't know why I thought that somebody would come and pick him up for his job. Like, who does that kind of thing?
Yeah,
so,
it had nothing to do with the movie.
Well, that's the thing is the movie. You learn that the movie is not just like the goal of the movie is not to figure out, like it's the goal of their documentary to figure out what's going on, but that ultimately isn't the goal of the movie we're watching. The goal of the movie we're watching is to see these two kind of characters interact with each other and their bad lives, and realizing the person you thought you were trusting is not the person who you thought they were.
But I think it would have been better for them to not focus so much attention on the things they were looking at then, and actually show us more of their lives together or separate. Like, I wanted to know why the numbers were adding up to this and that, the other thing, but apparently that's not what it was supposed to be about, so...
No, that's the thing is like that's more of a conceit to have these two characters have this strange relationship where they just met each other and the one's coming off a breakup and the other guy has like no one in his life and he feels guilty for driving his sister to being an addict and he's a sex offender because he accidentally peed on a school and when he was drunk and like just all these like bad luck, bad choices. Whereas the other guy, you think at the beginning, like you meet him and you're like. He's got like the blood on the shirt, and like you're like, I don't know if I should trust this guy. Seems a little off. He seems okay, but he seems kind of off. And then as you get to know him, and he's divorced from his husband, and then you realize he's just a pathological. He lies about everything in the movie, and he's a controlling asshole. Like that other guy, they're trying to come up with a title, and of course, what's the title of the movie? It's the title that the asshole character came up with because the other guy was trying to get his words in, and ultimately that's like this like collaboration, this movie making, the egos. That's more of what it's about, and then you're hanging your hat on the sci-fi bit, and I kind of like the ultimate conclusion of the bit that even though we don't know, we find out what's going on. Like it's not like it's a malicious thing. It's not like it's like a ghost or a monster. It's just a thing that's going on, and it doesn't like have a conscience or a goal. It's just a phenomenon. I kind of like that. It's kind of refreshing.
I don't know that I figured that out, so that's good to know.
Which part?
The part about what actually happened, why the whole thing was going on, the backbone of why these guys are together and why they can tell their story, the whole phenomenon that was happening. And they lost me when it was like the cats or the rats or whatever, and the underground something in the
parasite.
Yeah, and right. I kind of got a little bit lost there. And then I started thinking, there's so many things you can think while you're watching this. You're like, am I just watching their fever dream? Because this can't really be.
Well, that's the thing that bothered me too. Was what bothered me the most was the whole making a documentary. The talking heads. Like, I fucking hated all of that. I didn't pay attention to one thing they were saying. I don't understand why they had they made choices that they probably thought were funny and would go over well, but I thought they didn't hit at all. Like, yeah, my friend, she's a doctorate, but she's a doctorate for plant medicine or whatever they said she was, not like a chemist. And I didn't think that was I didn't think that was funny at all. I just thought it was very distracting from what this was supposed to be, and then I just didn't listen to it anymore.
I thought that was part of the reveal, though, is like the people, when we get the talking heads, these are the only people we get outside perspective from these two, and through them we realized these two are the way they talk to each other, especially the one religious guy. He thinks so highly of himself, and he's like, I've given all my money to this cause, and I'm so successful, and I'm so smart, and I'm so good at everything. And all the while, everyone who deals with them is like, he's an incompetent idiot. He messes up all. He's kind of Edward Norton in Glass Onion. Like he thinks he's so highly of himself, and then everyone who actually thinks about what he's saying and doing and his actions he's a lying, stupid asshole.
Yeah, everything comes out as a tremendous lie. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy watching that reveal from like these two, because at the beginning it's just two guys. It's just two guys sharing a cigarette in a courtyard, and then they see a weird thing and they're like, "Whoa, we have this idea." And in a movie like that, you typically are like, "Okay, these two main characters, I'm gonna follow them and see what's going on with this thing." But the actual story is them being terrible and incompetent, and then the audience learning how terrible and incompetent and bad and flawed they are. It's a move.
One guy whose flaws are like really self-inflicted, and you don't know about them because he is such a tremendous liar. And then the other guy who just has weird bad shit happen to him.
He's just bad luck, bad decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. There were some things I did like about this movie. There were things that I thought were interesting, like part of one of the guy's jobs was plugging in electric scooters,
bikes,
so that
electric scooters.
Use them. Like he was stealing though electricity from all of his neighbors to do it.
Right.
They never tell you any of that. This is all stuff that you just like. There's a lot of inference in this movie.
Yeah.
it's when you say it's heady, I don't think it's heady. I think it's just over the top, too much. Yeah,
Oh, it hates spoon feeding. It clearly hates it with such a passion that it makes you work for every detail, and it makes because it doesn't.
I think it hates the audience. I think it hates
get into
people.
their minds.
They want you to get into their minds. That's why they're making it. I don't want.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
I don't want to. I will. My biggest criticism of the movie is, and it's. I don't know if you had this problem, okay, but the sound mix is very bad. The sound mix of this movie, or at least when we watched it, we had to turn it up pretty high, and then the sound effects were so loud, but the talking was so quiet and so low. So whenever there was a sequence with background music or any sound effects, you just can't hear them talking. It was mixed poorly, and I don't know if that was supposed to be a reflection of like their incompetence as filmmakers, and I don't know if that's what that was supposed to be, but because their other movies, even their other low budget movies, they don't have this awful sound mix that this movie did. I don't know why. I don't know what happened there, but it's
so bad.
It was tough at times.
I take it that it was purposeful, just because when I said it was like an art film, that's exactly how the art film that I was in college was. It was because you don't have a lot of control. First of all, you don't have like boom mics and stuff like that. You've got a camera that's got a microphone on it, and that's it. So you're getting tons of ambient noise. So then you're trying to make post-production choices, to help people hear.
I guess.
And so I think it was totally purposeful in this film, because they were incompetent filmmakers.
So. I mean, I can understand that being the choice, and I can see why they would do that for strengthening of messaging. But like, it's
annoying.
It's too annoying. It is a hurdle. The whole time watching, I'm like, I would probably like this at least half star better, maybe a full star better, if I could hear it better, because it was just really hard because what I'm interested in when I'm watching this is their dialogue and back and forth. I want to hear them riff, and I want to hear that's what I want to hear, and it was just difficult to do that because the sound was so overbearing. I love the editing.
Weren't you reading it too, though? Didn't you close caption it?
I did, yeah, we did. But like, this is another thing, and this might be Hulu's fault, but like, there was this symbol that kept showing up when we closed caption.
Yes.
It was like, yeah, bracket dash dash BR.
Yeah, something or another.
This, and I turned to the.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, it was just something you would see in European language in the middle of, and it would never be like, I would never know when it was gonna show up. So
yeah, it was like some sort of bad transfer when they did the subtitles. And this is what I told the girl, I'm like, what if at some point that symbol, that dash BR dash appears in the movie, and that's like a hidden Easter egg if you were watching it with subtitles. If they had done that, I would have appreciated the choice.
Yeah, but it didn't get to that level of goodness. So
you say
I
goodness.
I think it was purposeful too. Now that we're talking about it, I don't think there's. I think this has the look and the feel of the most amateur thing that you can think of, but that they must have. I feel like everything now. You know what bothered me now that I'm thinking about it? The wind chimes that you would always hear, the little
that nothing happened with them.
And also you would see you would hear the wind chime, and then they would show you the wind chime at the same time,
and they weren't touching.
They weren't moving. So they clearly weren't making any noise, but there was noise. I'm like,
it's supposed to be the phenomenon, actually. So
I know, but if you're gonna have a wind chime making noise, it should be moving.
I was confused why the phenomenon knew "Ode to Joy." I don't know why that's the song it knew.
Ein klein Nachtmusik.
It was, I guess, but like, why not make it some, random sounds? Why? I mean, or if it's a song, why not make? I guess why does the crystals phenomenon, gravity well of light know "Ode to Joy"? That's a strange choice. I don't fully understand. I will say, I mean, I liked a lot of this. I enjoyed my time watching it. Unlike it sounds like you two did. But it is, again, it's their weakest movie of the ones I've seen. Of the 4 out of the 5 I've seen, like it sucks that we didn't talk about The Endless or Spring, because I think those are way more interesting, and you guys still might not like them, but you would at least understand what's happening in those movies, because there's a single narrative, not 3 competing narratives.
All the same fucking thing.
Right. It's not telling the same. It's not playing the same movie three different ways,
from 3
at the
different
same time.
Perspectives.
Yeah.
So,
I'm surprised there's not experimental attack. Like when I look at when you go to Wikipedia and you're like, it categorizes it into a category. It says science fiction, comedy, horror. That's what this is classified as.
That was the 3 different tries of the movie.
Also, they forgot to mention documentary.
Yeah.
Mockumentary, I guess you could say, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a mockumentary of themselves?
It might, I mean, a little bit. It's probably taking jabs
this
at...
really happened.
No, I don't think they really had floating crystals in their apartment. Probably not, but...
Or the plant that has Morse code inside of it. The fruit of the plant
dinosaur egg
that has Morse code inside of it. So let's talk about this for a second. So we have just reviewed 2 movies in a row, 2, like you said, diametrically opposed
Couldn't
films.
be more different.
Couldn't be more different. I don't see this as ever being released and becoming number 1 on Netflix. So who are movies made for? You're always like, it's not a movie. Why are people making these movies? Who's watching these movies? People make movies so that people will watch them, and so that they can make money, so that they don't have to have a real job. So, not that making movies is not a real job. I phrased that poorly. So why would you make a movie like this? Why not just make something like Murder Mystery 2 that people are going to watch, and it's going to be, how is that not a real movie and this is a real movie?
Because filmmaking is not like being an accountant or a trucker or any other regular Joe job. Filmmaking, like painting or sculpting or music, is an art form. And when
can also be redundant, though.
Well, when you're saying this is more redundant than Murder Mystery 2?
I'm not. No, but you're saying redundancy is bad, and Murder Mystery 2 is redundant, therefore it's bad.
It's not just the redundancy; it's the laziness. It's specifically the laziness is my biggest bugaboo.
But don't you find them to be more genius than these guys, since all they have to do is stand there and say the same thing in a different setting, and they make millions of dollars off of that? Like, do you think Jennifer Aniston gives 2 fucks that she has to stand there and say that stuff?
Well, it's okay. It's a different type of genius. You could say Adam Sandler is a business genius, and that is fine. Like, there are plenty of business geniuses out there who make millions of dollars putting out shit, and I would argue that's not really the type of person you should look up to, especially if it's something you really care about. I really care about film as a form of storytelling, and it's as an art form, and so I prefer films that are made by people who share that passion. When it's Adam Sandler standing in paradise with his way too hot wife, whoever it may be, and he's saying the same terrible, corny jokes he's been saying for 30 years, and he's getting paid millions of dollars, that's a very smart businessman, a genius businessman, but not a genius filmmaker, not a genius actor. It's not he's not doing the art form. He's doing the commerce side, and I don't watch movies or any other art form. I don't take in art for the commerce side. I recognize its importance to keep like the literal business alive, and the good ones are good. Like, there are big blockbusters that are also simultaneously good art. It happens, but if I have to pick the thing that churns dollars and I have to pick the thing that's art, I will prefer the art choice, because it's not being a trucker and it's not being an accountant. This is a special type of field. It's special. It's different.
But if you were to put it in those terms, these people would have to keep doing these kind of things on a regular basis to barely make ends meet. Like, these are people doing them for tips, basically,
but they want to somebody. They want to make.
But my point is that how does it not make it a successful? Filmmaking is a business. So you can't discount these people who do it and churn out the stuff that everybody watches, everybody likes.
But filmmaking is both simultaneously a business and an art form, whereas something like I work at an industrial chemicals factory kind of place. Like I don't like that's not an art form.
Funny.
No one could call what I do an art form. I mean, you would have to squint really hard, maybe but it's not what I do is not like on my day job.
I've seen you work around an Excel document, Brennan. It's magic.
I know it is magic. It is great. Like to others, it is wizardry. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like artistry to me.
But no one's gonna pay me to watch me do Excel all day. I serve a larger purpose in a company. I'm not gonna pay to watch people make movies either. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching the end product. I'm not watching what's happening. But I want to see an end product made by someone who loves what they're doing, not who loves the money they get from doing it. Do you understand the difference here? Like Benson and Moorhead
I understand the difference, but I'm just saying, you have an issue with the poo-pooing part of the big business part of it, but you have to have that in order to be able to let people be artists. There has to be this other piece of it.
Like I love people making money and grinding to make their money, but this is not I don't think that filmmaking is an outlet for celebrating commerce. I think it's an outlet for celebrating celebrating art.
I think the Oscars would disagree with you, but
yeah.
But there's plenty of Oscar movies that don't make millions. That there's plenty of Oscar movies that win Oscar. Like what did The Whale make? A couple million? Like it's not like
it doesn't matter about the one or two. It's all business. That's why these things are still in business.
Everything Everywhere All at Once is like a mid-budget movie, and that's clear. And that's a movie that's made clearly by people who love making movies, and that's the difference. And even when a big blockbuster, Steven Spielberg makes blockbusters. You can tell he's got a passion for it. That's why he mostly makes good stuff. When people churn out crap on purpose because they know they can, I think that's terrible, and I think that's bad. It's a good business move, but it's not a good movie. A movie should be judged on its box office dollars. It should be judged on the merit of what the filmmakers and the people who put the project together are trying to say and trying to do.
The people, your average moviegoer, though, does not care about that.
Yeah, but I don't give a fuck about those. I'm assuming if you're listening to a film podcast, if you want to talk about movies, you want to talk about the art form and not the commerce. I mean, we could do a podcast talking about only how successful a movie is on its box office, but I don't think when you're critically reviewing a movie, you're talking about its ability to pull in as many butts in the seats as possible. I think it's more important about what the thing's trying to do. I think that makes a good movie.
I think sometimes the disconnect comes when you're talking about, quote, a good movie and a movie that is something where you can sit and watch it and it brings the people who are watching it together, as opposed to this movie. If we all sat and watched it, like Donna walked out in the middle of it, and I'm sure she was just very tired from a long weekend. But I think that, if you're watching a movie where a lot of people can watch it and enjoy it, and then that piece of it becomes the important part of the movie. It's not the movie itself, it's the movie watching experience. And when you're talking about movies, and when we talk about films, let's say films versus movies, I feel like that's a singular experience. Like, we talk about it because we're on a podcast, but most people, I think it's a singular experience.
Let me push back with that. What? Top Gun Maverick. What did I say about Top Gun Maverick? Top Gun Maverick is Top Gun Maverick's worth your time and money for the theater experience and sitting there in awe of the action. It's a big budget movie. It's not smart. It's dumb. It's derivative. But it clearly cares about trying to make something that's quality. Same thing with Avengers Endgame. Like, we dog on MCU as of late, but they built to that masterfully. It was storytelling. Everyone gave a shit there. Like,
I agree.
No one gives a shit in Murder Mystery 2, so that's the difference. Murder Mystery 2 is the reason people watch that is because they turn it on when they're making dinner, and that's not a good movie.
No, I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm just saying that there's a piece of it where you have to realize that people watch them at different times for different reasons, and it's okay that they all exist in the same universe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is okay that they all exist in the same universe. There are exceptions.
My argument is if you want escapist entertainment, there's always good options. There are so many movies out there. You can watch 21 Jump Street, stupid throwaway comedy, so much better than a movie like Murder Mystery 2. You can get the same community chuckles together.
Murder Mystery 2, Brennan. I'm just trying to defend the something where I don't have to think that there's 3 movies happening at one time, and then that's why this movie is happening and why I want it to stop so much. So
okay, how about this? When I'll stop using Murder Mystery 2 as an example. I've pointed out big blockbustery escapist entertainment that's just there to please the crowd, and you can do that while also making it quality. And when you go this route, when you go the indie, like trying to make 3 movies all the time on a super low shoestring budget and just go for the ideas and try to, like, I give movies like that way more leash because they're trying to do the art form and they're going for the pure art form. And I am more interested in giving those movies chances and trying to lean in and really take in. And if I want the escapist entertainment, I could watch a Top Gun Maverick or Avengers Endgame. What I'm saying is we never, ever have to stoop to the level of something like a murder mystery. We never have to. There's so many movies that you never have to watch a mediocre movie if you don't want to. You never have to. You can watch 100 movies a year and never see a bad one. It's possible. We have so many. So don't watch Murder Mystery 2. Watch this. Nicole, any thoughts?
I have taken off all my fake fingernails during this podcast.
Does that mean you are moving away from the big blockbuster, completely made for the masses movies, and now you're naked, your hands are naked and
That's
ready
right.
for
It's not
you should have been
all
filming
about
this.
vanity.
You should have been filming this. We could
It's
get
not
a
all
Palme
about the
d'Or.
vanity. You know what it actually turned into?
d'Or.
Actually, I think you're wrong. I think it actually
wrong,
stems
Pete?
back to Mama K's wrong. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
It actually completely stems back to laziness, and I didn't want to go back to the nail salon to get these redone. And I didn't want to call them to get the fill in. So instead of doing that, I took them off, and now I'm left with what looks like shit, but I know that I'm going to be happier about it. So it definitely is a laziness as opposed to looking for something existential. So I'm going to have to really not recommend this movie. It was fucking terrible.
I see you're skipping ahead, so I see. Well, okay. Do you recommend something in the dirt?
I am completely amazed. Again, I am inspired and amazed by how we got to this point from the nail removal. I can't recommend this movie. Everyone would think that I'm just on like mescaline all the time. I don't know. Is that even a drug people do anymore? Special K? So, I don't know. Something.
Watch movies made by people who love movies. This I recommend this. It is still my least favorite Benson and Moorhead movie. I mean, I'm defending it here, but it's like a 3.5-star movie for me. Their other movies are 4 and above. So yeah, so I recommend this. I watched The Endless in Spring first. They're much better. But yes, watch Benson and Moorhead movies. They're good at stuff. They care. They want to make something that fucking does something that's not just slop. So
the subtitle of this movie was Everything Everywhere All at Once. Just so you know.
1 recommend, 2 not recommends for something in
strong
the
not
dirt.
recommends. Don't forget to say strong.
Sorry, strong. Is Mama K strong as well?
Mama K is strong also, and also Donna walked out, so we can call it a Donna walkout.
Well, she is not on, so her vote is not part of this. So, yeah. All right. Well, I think we're doing like Dungeons and Dragons next, so we'll be back to crowd pleasing, big budget things. So there you go. Yeah, we'll be back in comfortable land for everybody. No more having to strain your brain and having to don't worry. No more homework.
Chain smoke.
So next time, I have to do the other things first. If you want to recommend anything to us, and maybe we'll get to it, Films with the Women in My Life on Facebook. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'm Brennan_podhost. And you can email the show filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Thank you guys for indulging me once again for something
Seems
in the
like
dirt.
we do that more often than not, but okay.
I promise you, it's not enough. We should only be watching stuff like this. If I had my way, we'd be watching nothing but we'd be doing a Benson and Moorhead marathon.
My will is complete. Everyone can read it. Life is over.
Till next time, this is Brennan signing off, saying thanks for listening and enjoy your movies.
Oh!
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.